Consistency is the magic. How do you do it? Show up every week without fail. That's it. You become that consistent rock. You give others space and know that when they need you, you're there. I know viscerally how difficult it is to be a man who wakes up every day trying to be the best man he can, who's trying to live his potential, build a family, build his empire. And I know how hard that is and how difficult it is to even speak about it. That's why we do what we do.
Hi guys, welcome back to another transformative episode of Liberate Your Bliss. I'm Chelsea, and today we're diving deep into the world of masculine energy, entrepreneurship, and the journey of self-mastery. And I'm thrilled to introduce you to our special guest, Ryan. He's one of the visionary founders of Bali Brotherhood, and he's really made it his soul's mission to guide entrepreneurial men in scaling their businesses, but also embracing the powerful journey of self-mastery and self-discovery. And in a world where the pressures of masculinity can feel so overwhelming, Ryan stands as a beacon of authenticity and transformation. So in this conversation today, we'll really explore Ryan's personal healing journey and the insights he's gained about the mental health challenges men face in today's fast-paced world. And we'll talk about the transformative steps that led him to create Bali Brotherhood and how he's really helping men reconnect with their true selves. Whether you're a man on your own path of growth or someone who wants to understand the unique challenges faced by the men in your life, this episode promises to offer profound insights. We'll discuss how embracing vulnerability can actually be a source of strength, the importance of community and personal growth, and practical strategies for balancing business success with inner peace, as well as conscious relationships. Open your hearts and minds as we explore the intersection of masculinity, entrepreneurship, and spiritual growth with Ryan. Get ready to challenge your perceptions, gain some new perspectives, and discover how embracing your authentic self can lead to both personal fulfillment and business success. Thank you so much for coming on, Ryan. It's great to meet you in person. I've been following you for quite some time. Very, very, very impressed with the Bali Brotherhood. How did Bali Brotherhood become such a big thing here? Yeah. And what inspired you to create such an amazing thing?
It's been beautiful to see it grow. As a marketer, we haven't done any marketing, and it's grown to 600 guys. And every single week, there's 30 to 50 guys turn up. My experience around why the Brotherhood exists is because I spent a long time in my journey in lone wolf mentality. I think anybody that starts moving into their healing journey and like entrepreneurship journey and just breaking free from the societal norms. I lived in Sydney. I felt so disconnected from everybody around me for so long. Most guys need to go into a season of solitude. They need to disconnect from the old way of living, the old group, into a new way of living. And quite often the case is that they don't have other men around them on that pursuit, building their business, creating freedom, trying to create sovereignty in their life. And I think with Bali, it's in a very beautiful place where there's a lot of digital nomads. Everybody has gone through that season, even to be here to some degree. And I spent 3 years trying to get here. Like I was like, right, I'm going to be in Bali. I was listening to podcasts. I started my business and it went up, down, left, right. Couldn't have gone any worse for a long time, but I stayed true. And it was 3 years and I arrived. And I was like, yes, I'm finally here. But then I got here and I felt even more lonely because it was even more pressure now. I have to make it work. And through that, I met my partner. Beautiful relationship. We're engaged now, which is beautiful. Yeah, and I thank you. Taking on the financial responsibilities in a partnership created more pressure. Pressure of my business, pressure of trying to be the man I need to be in my relationship with no one to talk to. I didn't have friends. I was just working to the point where I said to myself, if I just work on my fitness, work on my finances, and work on my family, I'm good. And then about a year into it, my partner went away for an evening with the girls, and I just broke down in tears. And I was like, why am I crying? But I realized that in that moment, I was lonely for the first time in my whole life. Spent a lot of time alone, but I'd never been lonely. And it was the first time I really recognized that. And as I'd done that, I reached out to someone I knew on Instagram and asked if there's any communities that I can join. And he sent me a link for a men's retreat for 3 days camping with like 8 other guys. And I was like, fuck it, let's go. I felt supercharged when I came back. It was one of those things I didn't know I needed it until the void was there. And I could just relax. I could throw off the pressure of what it means to be a man into day to day, Monday to Friday and the weekends. And I could just go there, relax, connect with other guys that are in exactly the same position as me in terms of the problems they're facing, the pressures they feel, different stages of their journey. But then that was a real catalyst for me to realize how important it was. 2 weeks later, I then went on a retreat. One of the guys here said to put up a mushroom retreat in Canggu. I was like, fuck it, I'll go to that. Bumped into about 6 guys and we would just hit it off. All British entrepreneurs in Bali. We were talking about masculinity, stoicism, business. We were talking about everything. And it was the most refreshing conversation I've ever had with guys who are really on the same level. Because the last one was there was guys that are a bit older than me and kind of different stages of life. And then a year later, we'd all gone out into our own ways. I'd gone to Dubai, I'd gone to South America to do an ayahuasca retreat, and we'd all come back and we met up for coffee. And that was the very first Bali Brotherhood on the 1st of June. 6 people, let's catch up for coffee. And then from that point, we just kept having coffee and kept showing up.
6 to 600.
Yeah.
That's quite growth.
Yeah. And it was just a non-negotiable in my week. There was no part of me that has ever debated whether to show up or not. And I know that's so purposeful for me because there's other things I struggle with, going to the gym consistently and that kind of thing. But this has always been like, it's the number one priority for me. Because when I was in Dubai, that was the hardest time of my whole life. Because I moved to Dubai, my business was struggling. I moved there because I needed to move there. I was in the UK basically, and my partner was in Russia. And I had to take out a loan to get us back together. And we moved to Dubai on a risk so we could be together. I was like, I'll figure it out. We just need to be together. And the pressure of that place absolutely crumbled me. But one day I literally Googled, how do I pray? And I burst into tears on a Sunday when she was out because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to help. I didn't know what to ask for. But there was a brotherhood there. And I went there and they said, how you doing, Ryan? And I went, blah, 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 blah. And I just went, and I was like, oh my goodness. I did not know I had to say that. And every week it was a staple for me and it just kept me as stable as I possibly could be because I never wanted to pour my fears and worries into my partner because it was hard enough as it was. And I didn't want to burden her with the pressures that I felt around provision and money and living because she was already struggling at the same time. So I was like, I'll carry it on my shoulders for her and for us. But it was very heavy. It wasn't until I had a space with brothers to share that I was allowed myself to offload so I didn't have to worry about that in my relationship. So then now I show up every week because for the new guys that show up, I know viscerally how difficult it is to be a man who wakes up every day trying to be the best man he can, who's trying to live his potential, build a family, build his empire. And I know how hard that is and how difficult it is to even speak about it. That's why we do what we do. That is basically it. And we just shown up. We hold space. We focus on intention. We focus on purpose. It's a place to offload, but it's also a place to channel that into action. Like insight's great, but intention and action is what we're here to serve and take ownership of everything.
And I love how you said it's a non-negotiable for you. A lot of people preach. A lot of people say, do this, do that, wake up, go to the gym. But they don't live that, right? So when you're saying like, this is a non-negotiable for me, so I went and created that for others, because if not me, then who? I always say that.
100%. And it's interesting to recognize what things become easy for you. As in like you can start doing things and again, one of the constant battles I've had is ever since I started my business was health and business. It's always been a challenge. But as soon as that came into my life, my partner knew very clearly, 8 a.m. on a Saturday, I'm there. I've missed 3 weeks in a year, and that's because I was visiting my nephew at home. So I was at home with my family. I've never called in sick. There was one time, and it was chucking it down with rain. And I text Matt. I was like, bro, you can lay in today, bro. I've got it. And he texted me back saying, bro, I'm there, even if it's just me and you. And we're like, sweet. We got there in a storm, and we just sat there. But then about 15 guys turned up. So for both of us, it's been this, we both have it as we know this is duty. We have a sense of duty and a sense of servitude to be there. And it's not about us because we know the struggles, which is really beautiful for me to feel and how easy it seems to me to go. And people ask, what's the secret? The consistent, me and Matt just show up every week. That's it. There is no big secret. We show up, we hold space, we don't judge. You're accepted regardless of who you are, what you've done. I think the fact that you walk in is enough. Welcome, bro. Sit down, chat, let's connect. And we like to think people feel that when they come in.
It's really important to create safety as a space holder, right? Which is also a big part of masculinity, is about safety, presence, knowing who you are, knowing where you're going. So taking ownership of that and thinking, no matter what, I'm going to be there is enough. Because your presence is your present. And I think people don't realize that. They think they have to go and achieve all of these things. And it's like, no, just by being present, you're giving somebody something that they can't give themselves, which is their own presence. So to me, I find it beautiful, the embodiment of that, in that I'm going to be there, I'm going to be present, I'm going to give it my all no matter what. Because you're creating safety for guys that probably don't have any safety in their life at this time. Yet here they are trying to figure out, and the masculine energy is so interesting to me, and I'd love to hear your take on why it's gotten so hard to be a man, right? I think we talk all about, women want equal rights and men and this, and it's all bullshit to me, because in reality, I think we're just people that want to connect, but that we're playing these roles within our relationships, within our careers, within all of these things. And it really does bring a lot of pressure to both genders about playing that role. What do you think makes it so hard for men to become the man, right? It's like this, what is that? The man, the provider, the protector, right? Like the masculine image. Where was that created?
One of the things we speak about in the Brotherhood is lived experience. It's a running joke. I was like, don't come here and quote Marcus Aurelius. Come here and speak from your lived experience. So from my lived experience around this, I had a really good, really, really great role model in a dad in terms of the provider and the protector. Complete opposite to the emotional availability, which was a different journey that I had to go on. But what I see in the Brotherhood, and this is part of my healing journey at the minute, is around this need to perform, this deep core wound that we are only loved when we perform. And I think most guys, high performers specifically, and entrepreneurs, is that usually at some point in their life they've achieved something, sports, accolades, academia, something around along those lines. And it's been instilled in them from a deep young age that they are judged and worthy based on their output and based on how they perform. And that creates this constant, unsatiable hole in their soul of that they're not good enough. That pressure is what drives most men to any level of success. All of these guys that make millions and millions of dollars, there's a good chance, like, bro, who are you trying to impress? There's a game, right? It's part of the game, but it's also like, who are you trying to impress? What hill are you trying to stand on to say, fuck you, I've made it?
And when is it enough?
What a question, right? And I think for most guys and the most listeners, you will only know that once you find peace.
That's it.
Oh,
goosebumps.
Yeah. And it's so funny because this is like my work at the moment around finding peace, and my nervous system in a survival mode for 30 years. I'm really trying to learn that at the moment. But I recognize it in so many men, is that we're wired to perform, we're wired to achieve. The masculine trait in men and women is forward growth, action, forward motion, and that stillness, slowing down, isn't safe. From a nervous system perspective, they can't sit still. They can't rest, they can't relax because and it's like, for me, it's like, I'm lazy. It's not safe for me to do that on a deep, deep level from a nervous system perspective.
It's like I have to believe, and I love that you're saying it, men and women, because I do believe that this is non-gender related for anyone watching.
Yeah.
I would say that most women stuck in their masculine energy, the boss babes, I don't need no man, that have gone out in this world and created this empire, which was me. I had all the money, I was traveling, but I was dead on the inside because all I wanted was to be worthy of receiving love. It wasn't about the achieving. I couldn't achieve anything else. I was so fucking tired, but I didn't believe I deserved to rest. Like, I only rested when I was sick. It was the only time I felt like it was okay to lay down and take a nap. And even now I struggle when the sun is out. If I'm tired, I'm like, oh, I can't.
Yeah.
And I think peace is such a beautiful way of looking at that. Inner peace doesn't come from achieving. There's nothing you can achieve to get there. But once you find a dose of peace, you have to start to see, what am I giving this away for? And that's the triggers. It's like, who am I performing for?
Yeah.
And why? And what am I believing that I need And it does. It comes from inner child, deep core wounds of look at what we do as a society. At 5 years old, we get thrown into school and we get graded. It's just not, it's not this beautiful creative expression of, oh, go do what you love and create this beautiful empire. It's, no, you're going to go and do this. And if you don't do this, you won't be successful. And if you're not successful, you won't make money. If you don't make money, then you're not worthy of love.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. That's the blueprint.
Right?
That is the blueprint where you get set in life, isn't it?
And how do we break that?
One of the things that we speak about in the Brotherhood is that whether you like it or not, you walk through that door and you get to take ownership of everything in your fucking life. And I say, like, who here thinks they're a victim? No one puts their hand up. And we use I statement. People can walk through life in the most disempowered state and they don't even know. No one's going to raise their hand and say I'm a victim. The language patterns that they use will show me everything I need to know about people. You know this, you know when they done that, and this person done this, and then my ex-missus done this, and my ex-business partner done that. Complaining and blaming. And we're like, right, everything that you say today is I statements. I know when this happens, I respond in this way, and this is the result I create. Because that allows you to change. The shift from being a victim to a creator is like number one. And it takes time. And I think no one's really fully conscious of that all times. There's always patterns we don't realize. But I think for anybody to change, they have to actually take accountability for that. And one of the big things that really has really helped me, and it's only been since I've worked with Theo as well, done Cambo, I had no idea that I was in survival mode. I had no idea that I was running on anxiety. If someone had asked me, are you anxious? I'd be like, no.
Because that felt normal. Chaos is normal.
Yeah, and I'm not connected to my body. I wasn't connected to my body to even feel what that felt like, because I was just like, oh, that's normal. And I would reject that idea. But it wasn't until I actually done the medicine. 2 days later, I felt it for the first time. And my partner was like, Ryan, that's anxiety. I was like, no, it's not. And I was shamed. I had shame. So I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy, I'm not the anxious guy. But then the mirrors around me were like, bro, like, just accept that, because it's an indication that something's off. So it's been a real journey for me to actually slow down for the first time from a nervous system regulation perspective and really diving into that to actually understand what the hell's going on. You have to be ready to do the work. And it's that whole idea of like the victim versus the creator is that idea of no one's coming to save you. And you are either going to take ownership of your results and your life, and whether you choose to let your patterns and your generational stuff dictate your life, or you decide to change that. I do my very best not to judge people, because I deeply at my core believe that every soul is here to learn their own journey. So it's not my job to judge how you're learning the lessons. It's only my responsibility to navigate how I'm learning my own lessons, but give compassion to that. Because I know if I was stood in front of me 5 years ago, I'd be like, bro, like there's so much stuff that you're saying right now which is completely not true, but you believe it's true because you don't really want to see the truth because you're not ready for it yet. So much compassion.
Because it takes time. The journey is not the masculine journey of linear. It's a spiral. It's really, the feeling journey is more the feminine energy of I feel in this moment. The majority of people in Canggu are stuck in their heads. They're not connected to their body at all. And I love that you said that Campbell brought you back in. Like, it's a big, that's why I do a lot of somatic work, come back into the body, feel what's going on. It takes people these big experiences, cathartic releases and trauma healing and plant medicine to actually come back and feel again.
Yeah.
And then once you do feel peace, then it's the consciousness journey of, okay, today I woke up and I loved my life. I was fully present. I was able to go and do the things I love with the people I love in a place I love. What a gift. It's not about money. It's just about I was present the whole day. When you catch yourself anxious, you're in your head. You're not in your body. Again, when you catch yourself depressed, you're in your head, you're not in your body. And the only thing that can bring us back into our body is fucking joy. It's joy and pleasure. And we don't allow ourselves pleasure because of, I have to be performing. That's not performance. And it's like, what if we just gave ourselves permission to freaking enjoy our life? Do what we love. It would change everything. But people don't give themselves permission to do that. So most women that were boss babes, which I can compare to the Bali Brotherhood people. I think that the boss babe woman could come to Bali Brotherhood and probably fit right in there.
Yeah. She'd raise her hand and ask questions.
You know? And it's kind of, and it's like what really helped me was becoming the man that I wanted in my life didn't save me. It was when I finally went and said, wow, I have become the thing I want more than anything. And I had to start to really feel that and get back into my body and start to see how disconnected I was from receiving. And that was like, I didn't feel worthy of receiving, so I felt I had to perform for my partner. All the men I dated until my recent, now I have the love of my life, and it's a very different energetics, but if I make him the perfect dinner, he'll stay. And this energy that women have. Like if I tell him how much money I make, he'll stay. If I dress perfect, he'll stay, right? And it was all performance. Wow. So I think women are performing for men, and it's literally the last thing that they could ever want. But no man wants to be outperformed by their women.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's such a hard thing to rewire. But most women that come to see me, they can't even orgasm. That's how disconnected they are from their body. And we have to rewire that whole pathway of receiving pleasure through their body first, so that then they can go out in their life and start to take action. But it's all like deep energetic. So it's wild. And I wonder, do the men coming to your circles, like, do they know what they even love? Like, do they have joy? Do they talk about things like that? Or what is it like?
There is hustle mode. It's like hustle. That's what I do. That's what I love what I do. But then we done a workshop recently. It was called the Hustle Trap. And it was like why men struggle to balance success and love. Every single time it's this constant tension between these two things. Business is going well, but I'm disconnected from my relationship. Relationship's going well, cash flow's low. Or I'm in a relationship, but then I don't have a mission and I'm feeling doubt. Or I've got a mission and now I'm getting distracted by someone I'm not really too sure who's in that. And it's all of these tensions with these guys, and joy just doesn't even come in the conversation.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah. Because it's, again, like, it runs so deep, right? Of like the performance of like, joy isn't the thing that most guys seek. In fact, one guy, his name is Jesse, older guy, relationship coach, been in the work for 20 years. Really interesting to have him in the circles. He's super conscious, and shout out to Jesse. We were asking the question recently, like, what are you here for, the hustle trap? And underpinning it all, it was peace for like 9 out of 10 guys. And then Jesse, who'd been in the work for a long time, he's the first person to say fun and joy, because it was like fun and joy is on the other side of peace.
100%.
Right?
You can't find fun and joy until you find peace.
Exactly.
It's
Because these guys haven't found peace. It's like I can't even comprehend joy and fun.
Bingo. Because I have no safety in my body. I am hypervigilant as fuck.
Yeah.
I am living in a state of survival, fight or flight. The cortisol's pumping, the adrenaline's pumping 24/7. And you get these guys, then they end up like these super meatheads.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have to,
I'll play paddle. I'll play football. I'll play some sport because I'm still performing in that. But joy and fun just isn't the thing.
You can't find pleasure energetically if you're stuck in fear. And it's all energetic. So if the whole world, and I would say 90% of the world is operating from fear frequency, which means
agree.
In a polar world, if we're operating from fear, where can't we be? Love, joy, peace, freedom, power, because we're proving something. We're always trying to prove who we are and why we're here and that we're good enough for God. How do we shift that as a society? How do we shift that so people start to see, life is actually meant to be fun? What if it wasn't just a hustle? Like for you, if it wasn't about the hustle, I'm going to ask this question. If money didn't matter, time didn't matter, you had unlimited time, nobody was watching or judging you, how would you spend your day?
Adventure is a big thing.
Okay.
For me, like traveling the world and traveling. I've traveled my whole life. So on a macro scale, I'll just be traveling all the time, experiencing different things. I love experiencing new things. Quality time with my partner, 100%. Okay. I'd have my solitude, I'd do my meditations, I'd do the things that bring me peace within myself, journaling and meditation and reading. And they're the first things to fall off when I'm in performance mode. Relationship, freedom, and personal growth, they're my 3 highest values.
Beautiful. And you want to live within those 3 values.
Absolutely, at all times. So it would be that, about spending time with my partner, doing things adventurous where we're experiencing new things and experiencing quality time and presence and love between us, and experiencing things that's going to help me grow as a human being.
So I'm just going to say, sounds like you might be living your bliss life.
I absolutely am. It's a life by design.
See? And that is the game.
100%. This has been designed.
You can be present if you're living within your values, doing what you love. And I think the beautiful part that really helps me the most is being in service to something bigger. Because if I am in service to something bigger, I have purpose. And then all that past pain, all the trauma that I've been through, it's worth it. I'd go through it again to be sitting where I am, right?
100%.
Gratitude trumps it all.
Been in personal development probably about 7 or 8 years now. And do you know the teacher John DeMartini?
Of course, that's the value. So,
yeah. So like working with one of his students, it was a wealth creation course. We done a purpose test, and I was like 50% of my purpose. And I was living in Sydney, I was a recruitment consultant, I was trying to build my business, still drinking, still partying, still eating shit. And it was like, wow, I'm so off here. Ever since that moment, it's been a constant process of life by design, my values, what I'm creating.
Beautiful.
And if you looked at my life now, every single part of it's designed. Every single part of it. I even said to my friends in the UK, I'm going to go find myself a blonde spiritual yogi when I left for Bali. And then like 6 weeks later, I met my partner and now we're engaged. Every single part of it, but it was from the perspective of purpose. It was from reflection of my life, reflection of my journey, the struggles and pains I had, and then turning that into purpose. I started off as an online weight loss coach because I went through a personal transformation. Mm-hmm. And it moved to mindset, then it moved to purpose-driven online business because I realized that it wasn't the nutrition that I wanted. It was the purpose that changed my life, not the weight loss. Mm-hmm. It was that, boom. I was like, oh my God, I know what I'm here for. I felt so lost for so long in my life.
And then it's just, you just look and you're like, wow, all my clients, they're just little mini me's.
Yeah.
They're just me a couple weeks ago even, right?
100%.
Like you can help somebody 1 hour behind you on your journey.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always somebody a couple steps ahead. So it's like, this is where the Bali Brotherhood is so beautiful. There's no way you can step into a place like that and not find connection, which we need to heal. Mm-hmm. We need to heal together, not alone. And this separation consciousness that has been formed from a macro scale of humanity, this I'm separate from everything, is bullshit. We've got to get back to recognizing we are one with it all. There's always a bigger plan. Mm-hmm. And if you just surrender and follow your damn joy, you'll end up right back into alignment, laughing at the whole thing. I used to think like, no one's ever going to love me. You know, I was sexually abused, had all this shit. And I look back now and I like laugh at that. It's like, no, I had to go through that in order to be here. And now my specialty is helping women reclaim their purpose, reclaim their passion, find their sex drive again, and be able to reconnect with their own bodies to then open up and receive love. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait. It's like partner
opportunities. Hang on, all of my reality is completely just shifted.
And it's the wildest thing, because when I was in victim mode, it was really hard to see the other side. But once you get into creator mode, which I love that you mentioned, being in creator mode, it's like, wait a second, if I can create all that chaos, I can also create my dream life. It's possible.
100%. I have deep core conviction in that. To round this like back to one thing, it's like personal empowerment. You are in control of a lot of stuff. There's a hell of a lot of stuff we can't control. There's a hell of a lot of stuff we can influence. John DeMartini talks about this as perceptions, actions, and decisions. They're the only really 3 things that we can control. How we see the world, the decisions we make, and the actions that we take. And if you can wake up every day and align those things to purpose, but surrendering to that and just walking the path and trusting the path and having faith in the path, it is the whole game, right? And I think I've been definitely in a process of thinking I need every single step figured out, and then the weight of the control builds on that burden. And it's a release to, I don't have to have everything figured out. I just need to know the next step. And that is a lesson I'm still learning at the moment. Not trying to project like step 14.
Right.
So what is the next aligned step? And that's what we do in the Brotherhood as well. To round it off, we do a declaration. So I kind of raise hands like, right, good. Who got insight today, guys? I'm going to raise their hand every time because there's so much stuff flying around, right? People speak something, it awakens something when you're like, oh my God, I've got an insight. I'm doing that. Everybody's a mirror. There's 40 mirrors in there. Like, oh my goodness, I've learned all this stuff about myself. And a brilliant quote, I can't remember who said it recently, but it's like, you're not judged on your intentions, you're judged on your actions. And you can walk through life with the best of intentions. The path to hell is paved with good intentions. It's like, cool, but that's not enough. Having insight and intention isn't enough. And it's kind of, how do you ground the experience in? So it's like, cool, you've got all of this up here, and I tell everyone, close your eyes, connect your intention, put it into your heart, and declare and speak into the circle how you're going to act on this in your most aligned way, as the most accountable version of yourself, as the highest version of yourself, to all of these other men, so you can move into the next season of your life as the most aligned version of you. Whether that's a day, a week, a month, a year, for the rest of your life, you have the moment now to radically shift everything in your life by bringing this in and speaking it into the community. And that's how we round up every time, and we kind of like, that kind of like closes it up. Again, like you can dump and you can speak, oh, these are my problems, but then dumping isn't the process, especially not for guys. They have to kind of channel that and alchemize that into purpose, into action, into intention, into meaningful next move. So that's something that we really do, and a lot of the guys love that. And it's just that small weekly, come on, let's recalibrate, let's realign, let's plot on the graph. Yes, you might have had a week where you feel, oh my God, the world's falling down around me, but you can zoom out, look at where you are, look at what you've done, look at what's in your control, ground that in to then go forward. So it's always, that's how I kind of see it, as like you're plotting the graph of like, it gives you time and space to just check in. What's going on? How am I feeling? What am I working towards? Where am I responsible for this? What do I need to do and hold myself accountable to this? Then how do I move going into the next season? Because some guys come weekly, some guys never come back. Some guys will come every 2 weeks, some guys will go away and come back on holiday. So it's like, it's beautiful to see the transformations that happen, because me and Matt are just the rocks. We're there every week. But then guys will come through, and it's been beautiful to see the transformations from that clear intention of, you have the ability right now to live as the man that you know you are.
It's men that are being okay with feeling, right? In order to show up to something like that, you got to look in the mirror and you got to admit, I'm not perfect. I need help, which is one of the hardest things to do, I think, for men. I need help.
We welcome new guys every week. And I say the same thing every week. It's like, who's new? And they'll raise their hands. And we just honor them. And you say, look, every single person's been here for the first time. Everybody person does feel the same emotions you're feeling. Whether it's anticipation, nervousness, if you've been here before and you're grounded, that's awesome, welcome. If it's fear. But the number one character trait that you need to step into this space is courage. Because you're not here to connect with other guys. Ultimately, you're here to look yourself in the mirror, which is a very, very hard thing for men to do. Because of the shame and the guilt and the negative emotions, the lack of self-worth, all of the negative emotions that they'll avoid looking in the mirror because they don't believe they're worthy of what they want. And it's like, now you're coming and we honor that and welcome that. And then that's how we start every single week, because it's so important, because courage is the only trait. And also the most beautiful part of that is that when we share, the courage that you have to be vulnerable, to really feel what has to be felt, what's alive within you, allows the other guys to go to where they need to go. So it's positioned also as an act of service. The depth that you can go allows the space for men who wouldn't normally be able to share to fully open up and feel what they've got to feel. Seen professional fighters break down in tears. Like, there's been so many breakthroughs. It's beautiful purely on the fact that this brother has said what he needed to say. That's then allowed him to feel what he had to feel, because he's a mirror of him. And then the rest of us giving him presence is the breakthrough that he needed.
I love it. I absolutely love the masculine flow and how that works. In the healing spaces, it's very similar, because we're opening up an energetic space, but we're feeling. There's no speaking. So this is more, I'm going to allow myself to really feel. But when you hear somebody cry or scream or beg or stomp their feet, the mirror neurons fire. Like you said, it's not just even being a mirror. There's the brain. It's like, oh, I know that sound, and that resonates with something within me that gives me permission to feel and let go. Because we also hold a lot of these feelings and emotions in the body, as I'm sure you have realized working with Theo and doing the somatic work. So how did you work through that feeling part of your healing journey? How would you inspire men to do that?
I met a beautiful, conscious woman. When we met, it was fireworks straight away, but she had been doing a lot of work. She's done a lot of Gestalt therapy, and she's a breath worker, and like, she's a healer herself. She is that now. She wasn't when we met. She was on her journey. She really consistently invited me into feeling my emotions, and it was so difficult for me. So difficult. I remember I couldn't speak. I was like, and I would just cry. And I'm like, why am I crying? I literally don't know what I'm feeling. But she gave me the space to feel that. She invited me into a space where she would sit there and allow me to feel no judgment, no shame. It's okay to feel. But the more I can feel you, the more I can trust you. And because I knew that, it was so important for me to be able to create that because of the love that we have. And because my highest value is relationships and my partnership with her, there was nothing that was more important to me. It's been a really amazing journey, but we've done a big radical one. Our first date was breathwork, done at the Astana with Brian Kelly, 9D. Never done it before. And I went there about opening my heart. That was an experience. My heart completely exploded open. I was crying like a little boy for the first time. Like, I let myself cry for the first time properly. And she was right there next to me, having her own experience. But after that, we instantly connected. Doing more breath work was a big thing, and feeling that and opening that up. Going to Peru to do an ayahuasca retreat was a big one. Five nights over the course of 11 days in Peru, in the Sacred Valley, Pisac. My Kundalini awoke during that session, which was, I didn't even know what that was at the time.
Yeah, welcome to the next stage
Yeah.
of your life.
I was like, whoa, it's got to happen here.
Mine was spontaneous too.
Yeah.
Totally, it's like...
It was, but it really cracked the can open. I was so dysregulated. I was so like discombobulated for like a long time. So I basically got kicked out of my business. And then we were like, right, is this going to come up? And then we were like, right, and we need some money to go there. We booked a one-way flight for me and my partner because we didn't have any money. But it's a one-way flight. I was like, I'll figure it out on the other side. We've got enough money to get a one-way flight to Peru. Yeah, it was a super disruptive time coming out of that. But I went there because I knew that the words that were coming out of my mouth weren't my own. I was entangled with my old business partner, my business mentor. And I knew that it wasn't myself. And I had a really deep desire to be authentic. So I went there to understand who I am at my core. And that was my intention. That was my call. It was like, all of this happened right now. And I need to go figure out who I am. And that was my experience. And then ever since then, it's been so prevalent and so important for me to feel. But it's been in my partnership that I've really allowed to feel that. The inner child, the wounds that show up, the space that we've created, the arguments that we've had. And one of the things that I do, and this was reflected back at me in couples therapy, we'll have a conflict, as natural couples do, but I'll never leave. And I'll sit in there, as difficult as it can be. Jesus Christ. It was a very hard, but we'll sit there. And we'll feel all the things, and we'll just sit there until it's all come up and figured out. And yes, there was stuff that's come out, but it really has been, like, number one, my relationship that's consistently invited me into that, because I can go into hyper performance mode, be in my head, think I'm doing everything right, and then 3 weeks later she feels disconnected. It's like, I don't even know who you are. I don't feel love because I haven't even been connected to my own body, let alone hers. The medicine work has been a massive one, and then more so recently has been nervous system regulation. Understood the importance of it and how my serotonin levels, my dopamine levels, from reflections of Theo, our mutual friend, has massively, massively increased my awareness in my body and therefore my emotional capacity to hold. And also being in the room with other guys as well, like just recognizing their emotions and how they're triggered and how they move and what sparks up them and how they will project and have no idea they're doing it. But they're so emotionally triggered right now and they're bang. Mm-hmm. So again, being around other men, being around my partner, doing the work, like really doing the work, doing the inner child, doing the nervous system regulation, all of it.
Yeah, and it's a never-ending journey, this
100%.
thing, you know? And I love what you say about relationship, because I think a lot of men that are probably watching this feel that they're not ready for a partner until they are at X.
Oh,
you know,
God,
Matt says this a lot.
Yeah.
And I always say to him, you really want to excel your healing journey? Get in a conscious relationship. Because
100%.
the mirror is there. And, you know, it's harder, but the ability to feel is so much more heightened in relationship. But what I loved what you talked about, you know, when you're in a conflict, which is inevitable because we're just mirrors for each other's shit.
Yeah.
We try to look at, my partner and I, who's the older child in this argument. Because what's happened is something's triggered each other's inner child story. And we know each other's wounds. We've been down this path before. But it's like, How quickly can somebody recognize that they're the older child and provide the support and love to hold space? And that's kind of the consciousness journey. And even in anything, right? If you're emotionally charged with anything in your life, emotionally dysregulated, like you said, nervous system regulation, if you are feeling yourself leaving your body, you're getting into a trigger, you are entering into some sort of an inner child state or a younger version of you state.
Yeah.
Something is reminding you of a past experience in the present moment. How quickly can you catch that you're in that? But it comes back to finding safety again. Because there's a reason that you don't feel safe, because you've now gone into a nervous system response, which is automatic, and we cannot just heal our nervous system. It's not done like that. It's consistency. It's, I don't feel safe. What do I need right now? Can I change my breath pattern? That's number one, right? As I'm sure you're learning. Can I control my breath? And if you get to the point where you can't even control your breath, get the fuck out of there. Get yourself to a state where you can find some peace and allow the emotion to move through. Face the anger if it's there. Whatever it is, allow yourself to feel, to come back into the mental state, because it's a completely different part of the brain that's functioning. And I find it fascinating in relationship, those emotional, mental battles. It happens so much more frequently.
Yeah.
But the growth I've seen in my personal development has been phew.
And I completely agree, and for the listeners as well. Like, I just see it as an invitation. We're being constantly invited into deeper levels of healing within our relationship. And for the first probably a year, 18 months, it was very much she was the older child because I had no idea what I was doing. She would hold space for me, and she really allowed me, she created the space for me to actually step into leadership and step into my masculine energy, and invited me consistently into that. And that's why I do what I do partly now, because I've had her and I had the space to decide consciously, is this what I want? We're creating rings. So it says, her one is like R on top. And it's like, I love loving you.
Oh, I love that.
And it was that she said to me one day, she said, I might wake up tomorrow and not love you, and you have to be okay with that, because I will always choose myself. Is that what you want? And I was like, yeah, because I want to love myself as well. And I never want to have a codependent relationship where we're choosing each other over us from a place of wounding. So we've always had this very conscious relationship of like, the most loved version of me is in this relationship. Never the other way around. The conflicts, and there's a lot, like Stephen Bartlett talks about this, around the biggest reasons why marriages fail is contempt, of like just 1% worse. They don't heal. They go through conflict and there's contempt. They don't speak about what's going on. And then over time, that 1% fractures so much that it breaks it apart. And every single time we've ever had a conflict, we've always been strong on the other side. It's always gone into a season of more depth. It's always gone into a season of more connection, more love, more expansiveness, more opportunity. It's every single time.
But isn't that the healing journey in general? Like, don't you feel, even when you go into plant medicine, right? Like, you go into a plant medicine ceremony, that's scary as fuck after you've done it a couple times, right? You're like, what am I going into?
Yeah.
But it's like every time, and I love the word courage that you use, like it's the same thing with the men showing up. It's the same thing in your relationship. When you have the courage to stand in your vulnerability and to say, I feel, but I know that I'm looking for love and connection on the other side, which is what I ultimately want. But I feel, and validate and allow yourself to feel that thing. You go into that shadow part of self, that old icky pattern or whatever it is, and there's always light on the other side. I've never gone into my shadow and felt worse. It's been scary going in, but it's never made me go, I've never gone backwards. So yes, I've gone like this in a way, but I've never gone down. Do you know what I mean by
100%. And I think for me, like what's showing up for me as you say that is what creates courage, and I think compassion. I think if you can hold compassion, just say that you are a human being. You're not meant to be perfect. It allows space for more courage because it drops the shame that you can feel. Like, I'm not meant to feel this. I'm not meant to be this way. But ultimately, if you're compassionate, if you can cultivate self-compassion really and know that you as long as your intentions are pure, because I honestly believe that everything I try and do in my life is with pure intention to the best of my ability. And I know I fuck up. And I know things don't work. And I know that if I do fuck up or respond or react in a certain way, It's ultimately because part of my unconscious, part of me is being wounded in that moment. And that compassion has been a massive, massive thing in my relationship and for all of the guys. I'm like, I know that you don't, because I see the best in people. I'm a coach. I see people's potentials. I see that. And I know that most people aren't trying to do wrong by people. Like everybody's a little child walking through life, trying to do the best of what they've got with the tools available to them. And it's that whole idea of, if I was you, I would do this. When it was like, well, no, if I was you, I would do exactly the same as what you would do because I'd have the same patterns and the same neurological wiring and trauma as you. So then that kind of one thing is like, right, ultimately we are one. Like I am no better than anyone else.
You're exchanging the judgment for compassion.
100%.
Right? Because if we are continuously trying to be perfect and trying to achieve and trying to pretend that and shaming everything that's not what we think we need to be, there's no way that we can hold compassion for another because we can't hold it for ourselves.
And I think that's why you struggle to go into the space because you judge yourself to such an extent that you don't want to see it. So you don't look in the mirror. You don't come to the space where you speak about it because it's too painful and it damages your self-image because you're the guy that's got it all figured out. You're the high performer, the guy that's got the money, that's got it all figured out, that doesn't need help. You're the lone wolf that's gone through life and done the things, got the goal, got the body, like achieved the certain things. So it damages your self-image if you see yourself if you unpedestalize yourself or like take yourself on pedestal and realize that that's just, you can't be that person at all times because it's a false belief. And then that levels a playing field. And then when you do that, it's like, cool, he's just like me. He's just like me. Because when I went to the Brotherhood, I just realized like, I had to tell myself that I work so hard, I hustle, I'm one of the hardest workers I see. And I went into that room with 40 other guys and they're exactly the same. They're all hustling. They're all trying to be the best. They're all trying to climb the mountain. They're all trying to figure out. They take punches left, right, and center, but they still get up because of the resilience and the knowing and the belief and the desire to be the best self they can be. And they have this untapped desire to live to their potential and leave everything on the table. And I know what that's like because I feel that every day. I've cultivated enough compassion to know that it's never going to be easy, it's never going to be simple, but I don't judge myself, which is why I can stand in that space, give compassion.
Because you've given it to yourself.
100%.
And every time the triggers do come up, whether it's in your relationship, your career, whatever it is, it's a recalibration. It's oh fuck, here's another thing. Let's look at this. Let's love this. Let's move forward. Let's figure,
100%.
Coming back to center. And like you said, taking all of the stuff that's in our heads all day. Okay, cool. Yes, I recognize that this is happening and I can see this, but I'm knowing that, you know what, I'm going to pull this into my body. I'm going to ground it in and speak from my heart. And I love that because it's yes, we can be in our heads all day. And I think what's really crazy is we can all go in and see a situation happen and 60 people see it and they all have a different story.
Yeah.
And even with energy work, it's really funny. Everybody wants to understand what happened. But in reality, it's like, we can tell a story all we want, but all that matters is how we freaking feel. It's not about the story.
Yeah.
It's not about the trauma. It's about what we feel because of the trauma, this unworthiness, this guilt, this shame. Yeah. It doesn't matter what happened. What matters is how we're feeling now, and that feeling has to be fucking validated. You cannot run from the feeling, because you run from it, you run right into it.
Yeah,
it's like you said, you ran to Bali thinking life was going to help your loneliness. You get more lonely. You can't run from the feeling.
100%.
And I think people are always running with dopamine, with achieving, with the gym, with distractions. And I think when you're in a state of hypervigilance and dysregulation, the doing, it's actually safer than it is to, like you said, to stop and be like, I feel fucking lonely.
Yeah, 100%.
Who the hell wants to sit and feel lonely?
Well, even that, like, I got mirrored back to me recently. Stillness is unsafe. This is unsafe for me to still, because it means that I'm not performing. And what does that mean?
And if you're not performing, then who are you?
Exactly. So it's like, it covers so much. And again, it comes back to that. Like, how do you resolve that? Compassion. But it's deepening into it. Deep and deep and deep. And even as a reflection right now, it's like, there's another opportunity for me to deepen into compassion. Because when I do sit still and I have my mind thinking, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, this person to speak to, it's like, right, this is okay.
It's okay.
Yes, but even that, it's like you can kind of like, all right, I'll slow down, speed up. So we're still like in the performance mode, but like slowing down to perform at a higher level, which isn't even the thing.
Even when you're creating a purpose-driven business, that can suck you into.
Yeah, well, I feel that one. And I think, and this is the thing, right? It's like the pursuit of balance is futile, but harmony I think is the goal. How do you find harmony, and how do you allow those things to dance without going into one too far or the other? Because there is never going to be this perfect balance. I think there's performance in that. Like, I need to get it like that, but you can't get that. It's always going to be this. Again, one of the coaching sessions I've done, one of my coach, he reflected back at me. He said, "You're a leader, right, Ryan? You've got 600 guys there. You've got your business. You've got your partnership. Like, we're very good at leadership, but we're very bad at receivership." I was like, oh. I just started crying. You know, when you just know your body knows it's true, and I just started crying. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I hate that, actually. I hate when somebody says something, and I hate that they said it so much because I know how true it is. Or the only reason that I'm feeling the failing is because it's so true.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Like, oh, got me there. Got me
again.
there.
And it's
like,
so
right.
true. And I think we need to be in a state, and this I think is really beautiful for like masculine, feminine energetics in a relationship. Like you said, your partner was able to lead you to your inner child work, where you were able to feel. She did lead. She took the leadership role, and you were able to receive in that way, which then allowed you to lead her a little further on in the providership, because now you feel safer, you can feel more, you can start to check in with her emotions more, which allows her to, you know, and it's like this giving, receiving. It's not just the masculine giving. And I really want to hit this home for men, especially, and for women. We don't have to compete with one another about who is giving and who is fucking receiving. Can we just both allow ourselves to be both and take turns? Why are we fighting with each other about I'm the provider, you know, and I'm only receiving? It's like, I love giving to my partner. I love serving him. I love receiving too. Can't we be both? Can we come into a little bit more balance? Is that possible?
Absolutely. But again, I think it takes time to unlearn. It's unlearning the conditioning, right? Unlearning the traditional roles. And I think because my partner's Russian, from the minute we met, I was super conscious around like, how do I navigate this? It wasn't the traditional, like the way I'd normally speak to an English person or date an English person, because it was like, all right, cool. I have to be more aware right now because I don't know what this is. That initial break, or like that initial disconnect, created a space to not go into automatic patterns, which was really beautiful for me. But it really allowed us to bring two cultures together for us to decide as a union. What are our values? What are our traditions? What do I need? This is what are my expectations? How do I get served? Right? And we built a really beautiful relationship on the fact that we learning about what we actually need. And again, I'm still doing that. I think as men, most guys don't even know what they need. So being able to communicate your own needs is quite difficult at times. I know I speak from my own experience there, but it's a consistent pursuit. But I do think the union of two people, again, the consciousness around understanding yourself, understanding your body, being connected fully to yourself, and really understanding what your needs are, where they're unmet in your childhood, what you actually need, how you can honor what you need without shame or judgment.
And
how
actually
do you
ask for them?
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Give yourself permission to ask for things, you know? And I think a lot of
receivership,
women,
isn't it?
It's the whole thing. And the women do it too. And women, and you can tell like a woman gets dysregulated, right? Because she steps into that bull mode. And
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I know.
And then all of a sudden it's like, in reality, all we want is a hug. But where we don't know how to really say that we're feeling overwhelmed. So it's like this energy gets like this, and it's like, I don't know what I want, but I need it right now. I need it, whatever it is that I need it right now. And it's just this frazzled energy, because for me, when I feel safe, I am so much more calm, present, loving, and nurturing than when I don't feel safe. We can step in and out of these roles. In my coaching, I'm very much in my masculine with my clients. I need to be. I need to lead them in my, you know, and it's just allowing yourself to flow in those roles. So I'd love to understand, how would you help men that are first getting started in this journey to start feeling if they don't have a partner?
I think the thing that's really helped me has been breathwork, because it really does bring you into your body. The cathartic release that you can get from breathwork, I believe, is quite attractive to people that are just getting started, because it's like, you can create different states of consciousness, right? So like to most guys coming into this, traditionally, if it was for me, coming out of the scene of like alcohol, partying, and all the other stuff, I think there's a novelty to going into breathwork with the awareness of that you can experience something beyond what you're used to, but from a very somatic level. Breathwork, for me and my lived experience, that's been the thing that's really transformed my life in so many ways to get into my body, because you are literally, your full awareness in your body until you go out and you go to where you need to go for whatever you need to figure out that time. Telling a guy to slow down, telling a guy to meditate, telling a guy that you're a high performer, you want to move fast, you want to grow, you want to move, you've got goals, to say, bro, slow down. They're like, no, mate, because you've got someone over here saying, we've got quick results for you here.
I need you to be, well, how do I do that?
Yeah. So it's like, so I think to meet them where they're at and not just give generic advice of just meditate, bro, just journal, bro. Journaling's a big thing, but I think the easiest transition for most guys is going into that because it does require work.
Upregulating breath especially.
Yeah.
Like the cathartic stuff. I agree that you kind of need the big thing in order to slow you down.
And it's like you tell a performer not to perform, they're not going to ignore you. They're going to ignore you because it's so deeply wired. So it's like meeting them where they're at.
Yeah,
You've got a thing over here, which is it's an intensive process that you're going to go through. You're going to have an amazing breakthrough. You're going to feel it. It's going to be, your paradigm's going to shift, but you're going to go in for it with a bit of a challenge. It's going to meet that ego where it's at. Like, yeah, come on, then I can do this. Mm-hmm. And you can go into that and challenge yourself, but through that, you're going to boom, you're going to go out of ego. I know that because I know myself. And I know what it's like to be that guy that's like hustling and grinding and saying, again, like slowing down is not what they want to hear.
But did you see, with upregulating breath and the breathwork craze going on, I see people that then now get addicted to that cathartic release as well. And that's actually not where healing happens. I think it's a great start for anybody watching this. Breathwork is amazing.
I completely agree.
But that is a start. The healing actually happens in theta when we're still, and the hardest part is getting there. So I think breathwork can get you to a place of stillness because it forces you in the body, forces you to feel, forces you to release. And after that release is that boom. And that's where the healing actually happens. That's where we get the downloads. That's where we're mind, body, soul alignment. And we're not having this experience. But I see a lot of people addicted to the cathartic things. It is the stillness that we need to get to. Now, but the thing is, we can't judge the people where they're at. Right? Like
Absolutely.
You said, because there is a time and a place for that.
And it's funny, right? Because it's like, you want to experience peace, how do you do that?
You can't do it. That's the problem. How do you do it? I get asked that question all the time.
How do you do peace?
How do you do it?
How do you do peace?
How do you do it? I'm like, well, for you, meditation, most likely, if you're asking me that question, is going to feel like levitating under a waterfall.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be laying there, and it's going to be like monkey mind.
Yeah.
I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I need to perform. And it's
I'm not doing it right. I'm not doing it right. I'm not doing it right. I'm thinking too much. I'm thinking too much.
And it's like, and then you just say surrender. And they're like, how? How do I do that?
Yeah.
And I think the breath work really does help get you through that. But if that's where you're at on your healing journey, for those watching this, and you can't access peace unless you're having these big cathartic breathwork sessions, your nervous system is fucked. Your nervous system is so dysregulated. If it takes that to feel peace, it's really time to find someone to help you get back into the state of connection. It's actually ventral vagal. I don't know if you've heard of the vagal theory. Polyvagal theory. It's like, in reality, we want to be oscillating between dorsal and ventral. And we want to be going into rest and allowing ourselves to rejuvenate, not going from connection into fight or flight and then forced rest.
That's my learning right now. Like that's because like I have a business consultancy, so I help coaches, consultants, experts build and scale their online business, the purpose-driven business. I'm pivoting now from what I do to brotherhood and business because of the fact I can't, from a place of integrity, show up and just give you strategy, because I've been doing all of this over here. And it's through this I'm enabled to do the thing. And it's been a really interesting for me now to do the work on the level I want to do it. Like I'm learning right now about polyvagal theory, around breath work, around nervous system regulation. That's my like professional development right now, because I know how hard it is for these guys. But it's never going to be slow down, bro. It's going to be, right, let's figure out what's going to allow you to feel that you're moving at the pace you want to move at, but in a way that actually allows you to do that. Some guys, it's going to put people into survival mode more because they have to provide. And if you tend to slow down, it's like, and then I'm speaking from lived experience. It's like, well, I can't do that. So now slowing down is like perpetuating this thing around like, I can't slow down because I'm not in a position to slow down, or that's the narrative anyway.
So how do you slow down?
Whoa. But this is the thing, isn't it? It's like, it's finding your way of doing it.
Bingo.
Right?
It's going to be different to every single person.
Completely.
There's no formula
No,
for this
not at
game.
all.
It's your creation.
Absolutely. And I think that, and again, like the word that I'm really going to enable myself to go into, because again, my values are family relationships and family, freedom and growth. Like the guys who I'm going to help is really around how do you serve at a higher level with more impact, with more freedom, but from a place of peace, not performance. I was watching a training, I was just looking at my kind of identity and anti-identity, and I've got like a strategy chaser versus sovereign creator. And there's like so many of us seek the dopamine quick fix, but then it's a pathway to failure, because every strategy, if you're constantly thinking strategy as a solution, you're never going to get where you want, because ultimately you believe it's outside of you. Whereas like sovereign, like the identity of a sovereign creator is around like, right, you're building from within, you're building outwards, not running to or running away from something, but from a conscious place of like, I need to figure out what my way of doing this is, because the answers are within. It's like coaching. Everybody knows the answers lie within, but yet why do we think that the answers that we need are outside of ourselves? From an energy standpoint, about chasing the thing, because I've done that for so long, addicted to investing into business mentorships, have a surrogate dad of like, oh, he's going to give me what I need, only to reach one mentor who basically told me, bro, you're the one you've been looking for. I was like, oh shit, now I've got to trust myself. Okay, cool, that's a whole different thing.
Right now, you have 600 people looking up to you, coming in and looking to you, which I think this podcast is going to help so many people, by the way. Thank you for your insights and everything you've stated. It's been a really beautiful journey to be a part of. Who is your role model right now?
Really good question, because I've kind of like unpedestalized certain people in my life, and I've kind of been able to work with the people I had on pedestals, and I kind of brought it back down.
I know the answer.
Myself. The version of me who I know that I am capable of.
Your higher self. And how beautiful is that to admit and state out loud?
Yeah.
Pretty fucking awesome. Huh?
Appreciate that. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Myself. And that version of me who I know exists.
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Because then every man that walks in to your care for you to hold space for, you're just reminding them that they are their role model. And how beautiful of a position to be in.
Yeah, I felt that. Thank you so much. That is it. You are the one you've been looking for, bro.
Goosebumps everywhere.
Yeah.
So for anybody watching this, Ryan is obviously the founder of Bali Brotherhood with Matt and a couple other guys that are there every week. So come to Bali and come to Bali Brotherhood. It is amazing, amazing, amazing for men looking to connect, looking to feel. How else can people find you and work with you?
Yeah, so my main platform is Instagram, so _ Ryan Harrington. Just drop me a DM. Any guys, entrepreneurial guys that want to grow their business, expand through brotherhood, self-mastery, and strategy, that's who I support now. And it's going to be very much around becoming the man who builds the business. It was, here's the system to build the business. Now it's, you've got to become the man as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
And for those that aren't in Bali, what do you think is the best way for them to find a brotherhood?
Start one. Yeah, like what started for us was us showing up. It's like, if you don't have it, create it and they will follow. If you're blessed enough to have people in your world that you can go to, do it. But the consistency is the magic. How do you do it? Show up every week without fail. That's it. If you become that rock, you become that consistent rock, you give others space and know that when they need you, you're there. And not judge them for not being there, which is a big thing.
Beautiful. And what would be your final words for men? If you could just say one last thing to men that are listening to this that need support.
You have everything within you already. And that's the message I used to give my younger self, my inner child. So you've already got it. There's nothing outside of you you don't have to get to where you want to be right now.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. I really, really, really loved getting to know you, and I can't wait to see what Bali Brotherhood grows into and what you grow into as a amazing role model for all of these people here in Bali. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was so good.
Gosh, Ryan, one of my favorite people to have on this podcast yet. I'm really just in awe of the depth of wisdom and the powerful insights he shared with us about true masculinity, embodied masculinity, entrepreneurship, and the path of self-mastery. So let's just take a moment to reflect on the gifts he gave us today. He gave us a deeper understanding of the unique mental health challenges that men face in today's world. Some insights into how embracing vulnerability can be a source of strength and growth. The power of community in supporting personal transformation and business success. And practical strategies for balancing ambition with inner peace and self-care. This was such a new perspective for me on authentic masculine energy and its role in creating positive change in this world. So whether you're a man on your own journey of growth or someone supporting the men in your life, remember, true strength comes from authenticity, vulnerability, and connection. If this conversation has sparked something within you and you're feeling that pull to dive deeper into your own journey of self-mastery and healing, I want to invite you to explore the 2 transformative programs that I offer. I've got my Embodied Healer program. This program was initially designed with women in mind, the principles of energy work, trauma release, and holistic healing that is universal. So men who are ready to embrace their full selves, including their nurturing and intuitive sides, can find profound transformation here. And for those of you ready to really step fully into your soul's purpose, regardless of gender, I offer the Soul Path Mastery program. This intensive journey of self-discovery and alignment incorporates many of the principles we talked about with Ryan today. We work to clear energetic blockages, tap into the innate wisdom, and align you with your higher self. A lot of the work Ryan did in stepping up into his purpose. And both of these programs are designed to create profound, lasting transformation. This is about breaking free from the societal limitations and healing those deep-seated traumas and stepping into that life of full fulfillment and purpose. So if you're ready to liberate your bliss, harness the power of your authentic self, and break free from old patterns, I invite you to take that next step and head over to my website or reach out to me directly. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, you guys, each of you, you are a divine being. You are capable of such incredible growth and transformation. So embrace that. Embrace your authentic, amazing self. Love yourself deeply and trust in your ability to create positive change in your world, in your life, and for every single person around you. And if you found value in this episode, please, please, please follow, rate, review. It really helps me reach more people. And if you can subscribe and like and leave a comment of what you'd like to hear in future episodes, I'd really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. May you breathe in courage. May you exhale your truth. And may you always, always liberate your bliss.